My name is Ayefeoluwa Oladoko from the Stables of His Kingdom Ambassadors Ministry. Today we will be talking about the faithfulness of God, and does God really exist? Yeah, does God exist? And is God faithful? So please kindly follow us. Thank you. Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What's your name?
My name is Deborah.
Deborah. Oh, that's great. Anyway, that means you must be a Christian?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I want to ask that, does God exist?
Yes.
How?
I know God exists.
Yes. How do you explain that God exists?
It's unexplainable though. He created looking at the things he created, there's enough reason for you to believe that he exists.
Wow, that's great. Okay, has there ever been any experience in your life whereby you felt like God does not exist?
Okay. I know I've think about some things sometimes. I was like, if God exists, then where did he come from? Who gave birth to him? Like, where did he emerge from? I think about this most time, but I haven't got an answer to that though. But I just know he exists though.
Okay, you have double into wow, that's great. Yeah, and also, has there ever been any life situation whereby challenges that made you to feel like, if God exists, so why am I going through this? Why am I seeing this? Has there ever been?
Yes, definitely.
And what's
because at times you see people that are not close to God at all, they are making it, and you that you are close to God, looking at see if things are getting a bit difficult, so you'll be like, does God really exist? Is God actually seeing me? And
how are you able to overcome all of these things?
Then at times you see some people that actually made these true prayers and being close to God, and it's enough reason to encourage yourself.
That's good. So what would you like to tell people saying this about the existence of God, or about the subject of God?
I'll just say God exists. You just need to be consistent, work with him, and just put all your trust in him. Truly he exists, and you can actually make it through God. Definitely.
That's great. What's your name, sir?
Famous Warrior Chijioke.
Okay. I went to Mr. Famous, right?
Famous Warrior.
Okay. I want to ask you a question. Is God faithful?
Yes, he is.
Okay. At first, does God exist?
Obviously. I mean, to me, obviously. I don't know how to other persons, but yes, to me, it's obvious that he is in existence. Everything adds up to showing that there is some supreme being maintaining the entirety of the cosmos, or the entirety of the earth's function. So yes, there is the proof that there is a God in existence.
Okay, if God exists and if God is faithful, can you give me an experience in your life whereby you felt like, okay, God is faithful indeed, this can only be God?
Okay, you could as well just ask for some experience some few minutes ago. But there are so many. I don't know what I want to say about experience. Okay, let's see. There's so many. First off,
just mention one.
Yeah, well, like I said, my entire life is the faithfulness of God. So from birth, one of the strong killers of male babies is pneumonia. Right, I happen to have suffered pneumonia and measles jointly and survived. I was one time sick with a total nervous collapse, and kind of believed I would not get up from the bed and all. So, and there were no medications. Of course, a total nervous breakdown has no medications, and here we are. There's a whole lot. I don't know. There's so much. We want to talk about family, from points where it appeared as though we were homeless to points where we eventually got a point to stay. Should we talk about the suicide attempts due to depression and how God saved us? There's a whole lot. I don't know what aspect of my story you're looking for right now, but my entire life is the faithfulness of God. We're still standing here regardless of the much that we have been through in life, and we are seeing God make meaning out of the many brokenness, out of the many wounded sides that we have had to come through. So yes.
Wow, that was great. That means, or if I may also ask that, has there ever been a situation whereby you felt like, oh no, God is not faithful, this shouldn't have happened? Has there ever been?
Yeah, I mean, I just told you about the stories of his faithfulness, so that came from the point of us seeing what we considered the unfaithfulness of God. I mean, being homeless was a state, and then we had to like ask God, okay, so what's the big plan here? And then we see him come through. Being sick on the bed and all of that, and we asked, okay, so to what end? I mean, it came at a point where it seemed like all we were doing was just for God. And having to battle depression since like I was age 4, 6, right? And because I've been having many health issues all my life, and having to rethink life is not worth living and all, and asking God to what end. You come out of one thing, is it to talk about how slow it was for us to understand and assimilate and have a seemingly low IQ, only to find out that we are just strangely intelligent. So yes, it's all from the point of the seemingly unfaithfulness that we have seen to the faithfulness. So my convictions on God's faithfulness is not based on the teachings of church or based on the understanding that men have tried to sell. I have gotten to a point where I stood and had to find God for myself. I literally told my father one time, I'm not a Christian because you gave birth to me in a Christian home, but I have gone through the phase of questioning everything that pertains to God, and I found that it just has to be God and by Jesus Christ. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, upon all of these things that we have actually faced, thank God for bringing you out of them all. But do you have any counsel to people who are battling with one sickness or the other, one form of depression or the other, and people who are at the point of concluding that God is not faithful? What counsel would you love to give them?
Okay, so just so that it becomes a source of hope, we're not totally off our fights. We are not void of the battles. Yes, we have had many victories, but there are many more wars or many more battles that still abound. And I do not have an encourager in me. I just have a process by which I have ensured that myself, by the help of God, I've ensured to keep witnessing to his faithfulness. So this is what I would say to anyone out there. It's either God or God. If you have options, then
Please can you come again? It's either God or God.
Yes, it's either God or God. You have to lose your options if you want it by God. I prayed for almost 3 months. It's either you answer me or you answer me. I'm not looking for a point where he gets to fail me, so I'm not believing that he would not work. So what you are believing for determines what you eventually get. So if you are believing that he may and may not, then when you see the may not, you accept it. But I am only looking for him answering. So until he answers, he has not answered. So no matter how dark it gets, daylight hasn't come. And as long as daylight exists, till I see daylight, there is no answer yet. So lose your options. It's either God or God. It's either you are answering me or you are answering me. Not it's either you are answering me or you are not answering me. I learned this personally, and this is what I tell people. And so I sat down with just 2 things. I will pray and I will read that Bible. That I will pray, I will read it. If this thing is spirit and life, then it must touch me. There must be something that I will contact. Lose your options, and don't put an option of the negative. I know people have taught us to think of the worst and you are safe, but yeah, you didn't think of the worst and you are in the worst. So why think of it and then believe that you will be safe in the first place? So lose your options totally. It's either God or God. It's either he answers you or he answers you. And I'm willing to die on this altar of believing that you would end up answering me, because I know you will answer me. Not whether or not. No, I am sure and I'm certain that you will answer me. If you've answered people before, then you are definitely answering me. And so if you are going to answer me, I will wait till I see my answer. Basically, it's either God or God.
Wow, thank you. This is so great. Thank you, Mr. Thank you. What's your name, sir?
I'm Masoud.
Sir?
I'm Masoud.
Okay. You must be a Muslim.
Yes.
Okay. Please, can I ask you a question? That does God exist? The word God, does he exist?
Yeah, it do exist. Yeah, it do exist.
Okay. What makes you to feel like or to conclude that God does exist?
Apart from the theological aspect,
Okay.
we looking at it due to our social environment, we can say God exists, because for the English to define God, their dictionary, God exists.
Oh, that's great. Has there ever been any experience in your life that actually made you feel like God does not exist?
Yeah, a lot of times.
A lot of times?
Yes.
You mean a lot of times you feel like God does not exist?
Yeah.
Okay, please can you share with me one of the experiences, sir?
A lot of failures in this life. It's normal to fail down sometimes. It's normal to be broke. You know, as a student, most time a student will be always broke. So those periods you feel like are my prayers not been answered, and you feel like is there God or not? You have a doubting mind. But I'm a student of knowledge too. A scholar said, "Fama bako uli awadisi dunya." Life is not a straight road. Sometimes you have a gallop. There's no way the sky will be blue. Sometimes you see a dark stuff around those blue skies. So
Wow. So how have you been able to overcome all those experiences that almost made you feel like God does not exist?
most times I listen to music. I read my Arabic texts, you know, some Arabic text that speaks about God, and then I believe in my hustle. That's it.
Wow, that's great. So what can you tell people who at this moment feeling like God does not exist, as if God is not answering their prayers?
Well, it's normal to feel like that, but everything will be fine. He said, "They only ask Jibulakum, call on me, and your prayers will be answered." And he said, "Wa asirru qawlakum aw jaharu bihi innahu alimu bidhati sudur." That even if you are thinking about something, that he knows what we are thinking about before we even say it out. So and then he said he will always try to test us. So you cannot pass an exam without going through the exams. So you always overcome the test you are going through now. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Masoud.
Mr.
Kolade.
Okay, Mr. Kolade, thank you so much. We really appreciate your presence. Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
What's your name, sir?
Ogunfowote Oluwagbenga.
Sir?
Ogunfowote Oluwagbenga.
Okay, Mr. Benga. So I'm here with Mr. Benga. Mr. Benga, I have a question for you, sir. And the question is that, does God exist, sir?
Sure.
Oh. You're not too sharp with that, you're sure.
Yes, because I'm a believer, right? I'm a believer. So if from the beginning he is, so without him, who are we?
Oh, a Christian, a Christian. Okay, you're a believer. Which kind?
What type of? What do you believe, sir?
I believe in God.
Oh, that's great. You believe in God. Okay, has there ever been any situation in your life where you felt like God does not exist? You know, a particular experience in your life. Can you just go out a particular experience in your life where you felt like, no, God does not exist?
No, not at all.
Oh.
Because the one that I would have thought of, what's the point? He actually came true for me when I'm almost losing it. So that means there is a superior being that is in charge.
Oh, so there have never been any situation.
Not at all. Because there was actually a time 2014 where I was totally depressed. But at least from there, I have friends that are also believers, and they just try to encourage me and tell me is a phase. And lo and behold, with the help of God, I was able to walk through it. So now that it's now becoming more like an everyday thing, depression is real. I do tell people way back, like 9-10 years ago, I've actually had the thought of death. That was the essence, what was my essence of living. But thank God it came true. I was able to come back to myself, my belief system intact, and that's to the glory of God. Because without him being there, I wouldn't have known what would have happened.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So, other challenges that rises maybe in days, day in, day out, as we go out. How have you been able to overcome other challenges of life?
Trust in God. Trust? Yes. Don't think it too much, because there are times that you face situations that whatever the human connection or help, nothing is coming out from. So if you don't trust in God, you cannot see the outcome. So summarily, I'll just tell anybody out there, put your total trust in God. Actually, it's difficult, right? But then if you can trust in Him, things would get back to shape.
Okay. So what would be your advice to people who are probably in the situation, in the current situation, in the situation that you have once been? What would be your advice for them?
Don't lose hope.
Sir?
They shouldn't lose hope. Yes, because faith actually works with hope. If you should lose your hope, then the faith cannot work. So they shouldn't lose hope. They should just keep trusting, and faith will come to be. So they shouldn't lose hope.
Okay. Yeah, here is Mr. Shegun. Mr. Benga. He said
The Shegun name has always been names people call me if they don't remember my name. And I actually told my mom, are you sure this is not part of my name? She said no. I'm surprised meeting for the first time is repeating itself. But I don't want to change my name. I'll just keep it like that. Yes. So that means it's working from the victory angle. Because that's the literal interpretation of Shegun in Yoruba. People call me Shegun that I don't meet or they forget my name. But it's not in my name.
That should be prophetic then.
That's why I said you shouldn't, don't bother about it. I just let you know, don't bother about it.
okay. So thank you so much, Mr. Benga. Thank you. Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon.
What's your name, ma?
Precious.
Precious.
Okay, Miss Precious, I have a question for you. The question is that does God exist?
Yes, it does.
You mean God exists?
Of course, God exists.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, tell me how. How do you feel like God exists?
Okay. Primarily, the foundation lies on God's existence. Foundation of the earth, I mean, lies on God's existence. I'm a believer, so I get my own theory from the scriptures.
Okay, you mean you are a Christian believer?
Yes.
Okay. So you mean just because of the foundation of the world, God exists?
Yes.
Okay, has there ever been a situation in your life whereby you felt like, oh no, God does not exist?
No.
You mean
Confronted with challenges, I'm always afraid of his existence because he's always present there. Yes.
that means ever since you have been born, you've never been in a situation whereby you almost think that God does not exist?
If you are talking about questioning his, shall I say, his justice, maybe his faithfulness,
Okay.
there could have been times you'd have questioned his faithfulness, but his existence, no.
And what is that spectacular thing that you would love that actually made you to feel like God exists aside from being the creator of the universe?
I don't know, like what makes me feel it exists.
Yes.
There's a testimony in my heart, there's a witness in my heart that it exists.
This is the witness. We can't see it in your heart. We can't see it in your heart.
That's why you have to come to the knowledge. I don't know why I'm saying this, but I feel like if you really want to search like for answers,
Okay.
he will give you himself. You will just get to that point where you will know he exists. Yes.
Okay, so
It's even evident in the universe, in the beauty of the world, in the displays. Evident that something. Yes, now it's not man-made. The world is not man-made. Fine, we might have had developments, innovations, technologies, structures, but the foundation of the world, the beauty, natural things in the world, is not man-made. It's by a being, and that's God.
okay, so what would be your counsel to people who believes that God exists?
They themselves know that God exists. They're just trying to deny it. Even atheists themselves know that there's something. They don't want to admit it is God, but they know there's a being somewhere.
It's nice meeting you, Mr. Ayanfe. My name is Oluwaseun Adeshola.
Seun Adeshola. Yes, so Mr. Adeshola, I have a question for you, and the question is that do you believe that God exists, or does God exist, or is God faithful?
Well, to answer your question, I may not be able to answer it more explicitly, but I will answer it as deep as the Spirit of God will lead me. Now, firstly, let me tell it to you, and I can confidently confirm it to you that God exists. even though nobody has seen God in person, but everything we can see around us proves it that God exists. I want to talk of this atmosphere that is not supported by any vertical pillar, and it has never been able to sink ever since we were born, and we can be able to see it. I want to talk of every natural things we see around us, which were not made by man. So all these things can clearly tell us that God surely exists.
Okay, if God exists, is God faithful? Is God faithful? Like, has there ever been a situation in your life whereby you felt like God is faithful?
Well, God is ever faithful. Not only faithful, but ever and ever faithful. He has never been unfaithful. So God is ever faithful. I have several examples to point at in my own personal life, by which I can clearly establish it, and that God is faithful. Is it the fact that even thinking that you woke up for a day and you slept and you woke up and you still see the brightness of the day is an evidence that God is faithful, because nobody can grant you life except God that owns your life. He is the one that gave it to you, and he's the only one that can take it. So you waking up today, you can see that God is faithful. But me, I have several occurrences whereby I have clearly seen it, and I have been convinced that God is ever faithful unto me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has there ever been any experience in your life whereby you felt like, no, God does not exist, or God is not faithful? Any experience?
Thank you. I haven't had any experience that can make me say God is unfaithful, even though I had a lot of challenges I've passed through, which were hard challenges, but none of them has never led me to saying God is unfaithful. Because one thing I always look at is that the challenges I'm passing through is not what compared to what some people have passed through, and for them to have been able to succeed through that challenges, and they eventually have testimonies. I believe my own is not ever up to some people, so nothing ever can push me to saying God is not faithful.
Okay, if you are able to overcome certain challenges in your life and you eventually arrive at a conclusion that God is faithful and forever faithful, can you share how have you been able to overcome all those challenges for you to have the confidence that God is ever faithful?
Thank you. Challenges are inevitable for every man on earth. No matter the gravity, you must surely pass through your own challenges. Something that will challenge your strength, something that will challenge your mental ability and stuff like that. But me, anytime I'm passing through challenges, one thing I believe is that I always have the faith that thing, it comes and it must surely go. So everything has its own expiry date. So me, I'm always waiting ahead to see that expiry date, because I know surely it must get expired. So nothing shakes me from freaking out when I encounter challenges. I look forward to that expiry date. But meanwhile, while you are looking forward to the expiry date of a certain challenges, you must also be prayerful. You must hold your faith in God. It is only God that takes you through a torrent and is able to sustain you through that torrent. So when the disciples were going through some certain kind of torrents on the sea, so Jesus was there with them. So Jesus always with me. He's always with everyone that holds his faith in him, and surely you will overcome.
Anoluwa.
Okay, you must be a Christian or a Muslim?
A Christian.
That's great. Yeah, I want to ask you a question that does God exist, and is God faithful?
Sure, of course he exists and is faithful. How? Because I can see the evidence that he exists, and I can see how good he is to me. So he's surely faithful.
Okay.
Has there ever been any situation in your life whereby you felt like, oh no, God is not faithful?
Yes, there has been.
And can you share it?
Okay, I should probably say it was during my jump share. Actually, I was like, I prepared so much for this jump, and is this what I was expecting? God, I know you are not even good again. You are wicked. This is not what I was expecting. So sure, stuff like that, sure.
Wow, 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 wow. And has there also ever been a situation whereby you felt like, okay, God, this can only be God. God is faithful. What is that spectacular situation in your life that actually made you feel like, okay, God does exist and God is faithful?
Every situation shows He's faithful actually, because even for my
No, wait. Every situation shows this, even with this present economy.
yes, every situation shows He's faithful. For the fact that I'm even alive and even talking, able to move, I'm not just hospital. They're not forcing me to eat. It shows He's faithful.
Really?
He's faithful.
Okay, so to everyone has the who are actually having one challenge or the other, as far as the experience you had during your jump is concerned, what counsel would you give them, and how did you even overcome that particular challenge, Miss Anno?
Actually, I actually overcome it with my brothers actually. Because when I told my brother, okay, this was what I had, my brother was like, that's not the end of life. That does not mean you cannot do better the next time. Like, even if you do it again, you can actually be better. Like, everything has a reason, stuff like that. So that was actually how I overcame mine. So everybody should actually know a thing happens for a reason, and God is forever faithful. He knows why that thing happened, and He knows how to supplement or how to, like, in place of what is. He knows how to put in place something else for you, even if that is not what you are thinking of.
That's good. Thank you so much, Miss Anno.
My name is Taiwo Israel Oluwagbola.
Taiwo Israel. Yeah, I want to ask that, does God exist and is God faithful?
Sure, surely, yes, sure. I believe in God, and I'm sure God exists. So.
Has there ever been a situation in your life whereby you felt like, God is not faithful, that, God is not faithful?
Sometimes it's possible, but still yet, I believe God exists. Because my mom and my dad always tell me that God exists, so I believe in God.
What is that spectacular thing that made you feel like, okay, a particular thing that God did for you that made you feel like, God is really faithful and God exists?
Like I can say, if I can remember, when I was in ND1, there was a situation that I don't have money for handouts, and our lecturer told us to buy it, and if you don't buy the handouts, you must fail. So and I can't even remember, but I believe God provide in other way I don't expect. So and also in my exam, so many times, students, you will read, and another thing will came out from the exam, but I believe in God, so God back me up and all my.
That's great, Mr. Taiwo. Thank you so much.